Welcome to the session on entrepreneurship development. We are talking about the marketing management aspect of entrepreneurship development. And within the module of marketing management, we are trying to talk about how a company goes about analyzing marketing opportunities, developing suitable strategies for pursuing those marketing opportunities. We also talked about another avenue from which the company can derive opportunities, and that's what we are going to continue discussing today. Like, there's something called a strategic intent on the part of the company, which means a good company or a good entrepreneur needs to have a vision, which is supposed to be followed by something called a company mission, and this will lead to something called a product or a business definition. Okay, so we have talked about what a vision is. Just trying to remind you from what we had discussed in the last episode, that a vision is really a kind of a dream for the company, which is envisioned by the owner of the company, or the founder of the company, or even let's say the top executive in the company, and that's what runs through the organization. That is what is shared by the entire organization. It binds people across different locations, across different functions in the organization, and it helps the organization move towards a common goal. That's the dream or the vision. Now, as we did see on that episode, that the vision can even be something which is quite unrealizable, almost an impractical and unrealizable kind of a dream. Okay, but then although it might have a lot of value in that, what we need is something that translates to something more practical, which is easily understandable to the different people working in that organization, which is why we need something called a mission. So a mission is really a clearer understanding of the vision translated to more practical terms. So a mission is really an expression of the growth ambition of the company. That's one way a mission can be described. It tells the company, all the employees in the company, what the company dreams to be and how it expects that dream to be actually realized, why it exists, and what does it intend to do in order to realize those goals. It also gives a justification for the existence of the firm, and it's not just a euphoric statement like the vision statement. Many a times a vision statement might seem like euphoria, but the mission statement is more practical. Okay. However,
the mission statement is the realistic part of the vision statement.
It is in fact a more realistic part. It's trying to explain the vision in clearer terms, in more practical terms, to all people who are going to, actually make that vision, realizable on the ground. So, but then it can also be somewhat abstract, somewhat romantic, and full of zeal. I'll give you a few examples, and you will realize what a mission statement can do in terms of throwing up opportunities for marketing.
So you wanted to say that it is a blend of dream and reality.
It is somewhat like that. It starts with the dream. The vision is very much a dream, and then the mission is a blend, as you calling it rightly so. It's a blend of the practical aspect, and keeping the dream at the back of it. Okay. So I was just trying to cite a few examples which will tell you what the missions are like. Like a well-known company which is into the business of FMCG products, cleanliness products, and all those. It goes on to describe its mission statement as somewhat like this. The mission of our company, as one of the founders of that organization declared, is to make cleanliness commonplace, to lessen work for women, to foster health, and to contribute to personal attractiveness so that life can be more enjoyable for the people who use our products. Now, this is a well-known company which is into a varied product line business. And if you analyze this mission statement, you'll find that it talks about certain keywords. For example, it talks about cleanliness. Okay. Now, this cleanliness can mean personal hygiene. It can also mean, cleanliness of the environment, the home, and other places of work. So this can offer the company opportunities for developing products in the area of personal hygiene, and also for other cleanliness products which will, preserve the cleanliness in the environment that we live and work in. Okay. It talks about...
Yeah. The mission can also cover the social responsibilities of a business?
Yes, it can. Certainly it can, but then, as I said before also, the vision statement is much broader in scope. The mission statement tries to narrow it down and bring it down to more focused business goals. Okay, so if the social aspects are not to do with the business goals, maybe the mission statement will not be very clear about that. But then by pursuing the mission, and through the mission, the vision, you are actually pursuing social goals. Okay, I'll just recall what we have said on the last occasion, that a vision of a company is a purpose for which the company exists beyond the reason for making money only. Okay, so there has to be a social angle. Okay, and the vision exemplifies that a company is also a corporate social entity and not just a profiteering organization. Okay, so going back to the mission statement of this company, I said that cleanliness is one of the key words in that mission statement, which gives rise to a whole lot of marketing opportunities for that company. It also talks about fostering health, which means that this is talking about another avenue for business. The company can diversify into the area of foods and beverages and all kinds of health related products which are going to do good to the health of an individual consumer. It also talks about something called personal attractiveness. Okay, that means this company can diversify in the lines of personal care, grooming products, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, even the seeds of growth and diversification are sown in the mission statement. So I was trying to emphasize this point, that a mission statement offers the company plenty of marketing opportunities. If the mission statement is a good one, an elaborate one, there are lots of avenues in which the company can seek growth and diversification right from the mission statement.
So, like, can you make any amendments in the missions?
Yes, you can. Of course, you can. You're quite correct. The mission statement is not as enduring as a vision statement. Okay, the vision statement, as we tried to say, is a very big picture. It's the overall canvas that we are referring to. The mission statement is more practical, and it normally tends to have something like a time frame. Although that time frame is not very easily spelled out or clearly understood, but then there appears to be some kind of a time frame involved in a mission statement, and over the time frame, the company pursues the mission relentlessly. But then a time might come when the mission statement becomes outdated, okay, and the circumstances and the environment has changed so drastically that the mission statement might call for a review and a revision. So many companies do revise their mission statements. Like one of the American companies said that our mission is to give every American a telephone connection. So that's one way they had envisioned how they would grow in the beginning, and then when almost every American had a telephone, access to a telephone connection, then they reviewed and revised their mission statement and went into other areas of telecommunication.
Sir, can we tell that a mission statement can tell a company in which all spheres the company is prioritizing to focus on?
That is exactly the case. The mission statement is in fact kind of a priority document which tells the organization the major thrust areas are these, and we will channelize most of our resources into those directions. However, that does not mean that we are close to the environment. We will certainly be monitoring the environment, and we will always be looking at more exciting opportunities. The mission statement is a guide. It's not a hindrance, mind you. It's not supposed to be looked upon as a hindrance. The mission does not allow us to get into that business. That should never be the situation. If the situation is volatile, as I was mentioning some time back, you need to review the mission statement also. You cannot expect that all companies will come out with a vision statement like I mentioned the other day, or a mission statement which is very, very elaborate. It's not possible. Many companies are not as good or not as professional, are not headed by as good visionaries as some of the companies are, which means that such companies will have to take a short-term view of things and keep on revising, and maybe with time they will learn to set up some kind of a mission for themselves. Okay. So we move on from the mission statement and we get into something called a business definition. As you would have realized by now, both the vision and the mission are really a lot to do with the values, the dreams, and the shared vision of the organization, things which are not still very practical. Okay, we still need to practicalize the whole thing. We need to give it a more practical shape. What do people in the organization at different levels, people are there at all levels, okay, the people at the lower levels are not likely to understand the connotations of a mission or a vision. For them, you need something more practical, something more specific. So for that reason, many companies believe that we need to set up company goals by what is known as a business definition. So the sequel to a mission is really a business definition, which clarifies the mission in more practical, understandable terms at different levels of the organization. I'll just cite a few examples, and that's going to help you understand what it is. A very well-known photocopying company, a globally known photocopying company, had a product definition. of their business, and they say that we make photocopying equipment. Now that's a product oriented definition, which tells you that our products will only be in those areas. But then a market definition for the same business house could have been, we help improve office productivity. Now you realize what has happened. From a product definition, you have moved on to a market definition. You are not defining your business in terms of mere products which can undergo a change. You are in fact defining the business in terms of the market requirements. And that's a more marketing orientation that many companies need to adopt. And with the inclusion of office productivity, it's not just the photocopying equipment or the activities. It can include a lot many more business opportunities for that organization. So when you elaborate the business definition from a product oriented definition to a market oriented definition, then you're telling yourself that I am going to explore many other opportunities by looking at a much broader or a much bigger picture. Like I was giving an example that a well-known photocopying company originally had defined its business on product lines. They said that our business is to make photocopying equipment. But that's a very narrowed down definition of the business. Rather, it was suggested that why doesn't the company define the business in terms of the marketing requirement? And a possible business definition could be, we help improve office productivity, which goes into include many other products and services which the company otherwise would not have thought of. Now, as you can see from this example itself, that the mission or the business definition not only tells the company what are the areas into which you could grow and make your business, but then also what are the possible sets of competitors for you, because it tells you which are the areas of the market you could explore, and therefore it tells you who are the possible competitors for this kind of a business. We normally, when we think about competition, we traditionally talk about the ones who are direct competitors to us, okay, who make similar products to our product, okay. But then competition can come to you from different quarters, even from substitutes, even from not so directly comparable products, okay. Now, one of the best things about the business definition is that it tells you in clear terms which are the areas from which competition can originate, okay. Take another example. A very well-known, movie company said that our product is to make movies. Our business is to make movies. That's again a very narrow definition, a product-oriented definition for that company. Now, it is being suggested that if the company could define its business in terms of the market, then a possible business definition could be, we market entertainment. Now that tells you that movies are only a subset of the population called entertainment, okay, and that tells you that the company can proliferate and get into other areas of entertainment and not stick to movies alone. For example, the film industry for a long time thought that the customers wanted films. They overlooked the fact that the customers actually wanted entertainment, and they overlooked the competition from videos. And for a very long time, the movie industry was badly hit by the incidence of videos because they had not foreseen that kind of a competition coming across. So that's what we are trying to say, that let's think of business on much broader terms and not restrict the definition to a product-oriented definition.
Sir?
Yeah.
So we are seeing here any companies defining their business in respect of product and market.
Yeah.
So are there any other classification for this business definition? Any other viewpoint?
No, in fact, the dominant viewpoint is that the business is to do with customers and serving customer needs, because that's the marketing, the marketing philosophy behind everything. And we still are in the era where we are talking about the marketing concept and developing that marketing concept further. So that's where, see, if you look at this shift from the product definition to a marketing definition, what does it tell you? It is really a shift from the product concept of marketing to a more customer-centric or a market-centric definition of marketing. It is in fact a reflection of that. And because we are still continuing in the era of marketing being the cornerstone of business philosophy, we are saying that the market definition happens to be the predominant view, and companies have tasted a lot of success as a result of adopting this market definition of business, moving away from the product definition. Okay, like there are other examples. Okay, let's say one company, a famous company, which is in the business of manufacturing and marketing cosmetics. So one definition could be, we manufacture and market cosmetics. Now, it is suggested that the same company could come out with a different kind of definition and say that we sell lifestyle and self-expression, success and status, memories, hopes and dreams. Now just imagine
Difference.
what difference it can make to the entire orientation of the organization, how many opportunities of growth it can throw up to the organization. At the same time, it tells the organization, reminds the organization that if you want to diversify into these areas, what are the potential threats arising from competition in those areas.
So isn't the business definition even creates some kind of impact in the minds of customers? So
Yes, of course.
This kind of business definition will definitely create some positive impact, some
Right.
attraction that this is the business definition. Definitely, they will try to grow much beyond
Absolutely.
than what they are producing. right?
Absolutely. See, the business definition, although it's internal to the organization, but then whatever we do in the organization, our activities will reflect what we think in the organization, isn't it so? So, as long as you are stuck with the product definition, your entire focus of activities will be centering around the product. You'll try to improve the product. And in fact, there's a famous book written by Theodore Levitt, which is called The Marketing Myopia, and which goes on to say that there was a time when people wanted to improve products, and the entire thrust of the organization was to come out with better, superior, more improved, technologically better products. So the entire concept was revolving around the product definition of business. And he went on to say that this is a myopic vision of business. And there's a book, the book that I referred to, Marketing Myopia, talks about this only. It says that, suppose we want to, a company says that we are making drills, okay, and the company can make a huge endeavor trying to make the best possible drills technically, and looking at it from all aspects, they can come out with a wonderful drill. And in the process, they forget that what the customer is looking for is not a drill, but the hole. The whole objective is to make a hole with that drill. The drill by itself is not important. This is what the Marketing Myopia, as a book, it's a classic, reminds companies about, that our objective is to satisfy customer needs and not merely to develop products which are better and better still. Okay.
So we can see that the seeds of innovation and diversification are present in market definition.
Absolutely, they are, and
not in the
I would
product
in fact add to this and say that it is really flowing from the vision and the mission and coming down to the business
It's like a
definition.
subset.
It is a subset, absolutely. Okay, so we were talking about one of the cosmetic companies, and I just tried to explain to you how the business definition can make a huge difference in the mindset of the organization. A famous theme park in the United States says that, and in other parts of the world also says, we run theme parks. That's the product definition. But then a possible definition could be, we create fantasies. Okay, and that makes a world of difference between what they were doing and what they can do. Okay, one of the pioneers in the field of e-commerce using the internet said that we sell books, videos, and CDs and toys over the internet. Okay, now that's a not narrowed down definition of what the company stood for. But then, as time progressed, they say that we make internet buying experience faster, easier, and more enjoyable. So that's how they have liberated themselves from the shackles of a product-bound definition to a much broader market-oriented definition. This is what we are trying to say, that
Means that they changed, that they made amendments in their mission statement and business definitions again.
that will need a lot of digging into history, and we will not be certain about that. But then what can be safely said is that in the beginning, you might have started off with the product definition. But then as you gather experience, as you understand more about the market, about the needs of the customers you serve, then you realize that there are lot many other areas where the customer is seeking services. Okay, and therefore you can always take the opportunity of trying to develop your business in those areas. And the company will realize itself, without being prompted from outside, that these are possible avenues of growth. Okay, and therefore if they take a market-oriented view of the business, we do not know for sure whether there was a vision or a mission laid down in line with this. But then if you realize even at this stage that the business needs to be redefined in terms of the market rather than in terms of the product, then also you are doing justice to the organization, because you are throwing open many avenues for growth and diversification for the organization. And we are saying that we are looking for marketing opportunities. We are trying to analyze marketing opportunities. What better framework can you think of rather than this, when it starts right from the top levels of the organization? The whole organization is made to think differently, okay, and think customer. So this is what we are trying to say, and we are saying that all this really was started by one person, Peter Drucker, a very well-known management thinker, a management guru, who said that, who in fact laid down a few questions and said that these are some of the toughest questions that the company will ever have to answer. And he said, what is our business? Who is the customer? What do customers value? What should our business be? Now, these are some of the seemingly obvious questions being asked by a management guru, but then do think about these and you'll imagine and you'll understand that these are perhaps the toughest questions that any organization can ever have to answer. Redefining the business, understanding what the business stands for, who is the ultimate customer, what does he value, where is the business today, where does the business want to go tomorrow, are all, embedded into these questions. So if you are able to answer these questions, successfully, effectively, satisfactorily, perhaps you have done a good job of strategic intent. That is where your vision and your mission and your business definition is going to flow from. I thought I'll refer in passing to Theodore Levitt, who said that many a time the failure is at the top of the organization, because the top person, the entrepreneur, does not get to see beyond a certain point. If he is not a visionary, if he does not have a mission in the organization, who will do it for him? So it is the entrepreneur rather than anybody else in the organization who will have to think of a vision, translate that to a broad mission statement, and then from this will flow the market definition of the business. What is important to realize lastly is that products will come and products will go. Products will change, services will change, but what is more enduring is the customer set of needs. Customer needs do not undergo such frequent changes. They manifest into different kinds of wants, all right, but then basic needs of customers do not undergo so much of change. They are more enduring. So why not define the business more in terms of the customer requirements rather than looking an inward view and thinking about a business as a product delivering mechanism? It's not a product delivering mechanism at all. It is in fact a customer satisfying process that is a business. And if that is so, a market definition of a business obviously has to be a more predominant view of the business rather than a product-oriented definition. Now, so hopefully I have been able to tell you what a mission, a vision, and a business definition are, and how these things are actually giving you opportunities of looking for, let's say, more marketing opportunities, growing opportunities, and so on and so forth. But then there are other areas from where you can also derive marketing opportunities, and one of the very well-known frameworks is something called a product market expansion grid. And this was put forward by another great management thinker, a strategic thinker called Ansoff, and is known as the Ansoff product market expansion grid. This grid, incidentally, is a very simple one, a very simple framework. It is again a 2x2 matrix. There are two parameters. On the one side, there are markets, and on the other side, there are products. Now, markets are divided into existing markets and new markets. Likewise, products are also divided into existing products and new products from the point of view of the organization. And this gives rise to 4 quadrants, 4 cells in the matrix. Now, look at what is happening. If you are trying to market existing products to your existing markets, then that's one kind of a marketing strategy that's involved. Okay, and we refer to those strategies as market penetration strategies. Okay, when you're trying to market existing products to new markets, then the strategy undergoes a complete change, and what we are now looking at is a market development strategy. When you're trying to market new products to your existing markets, then you need to develop that product in order to suit the requirements of the existing market, and that's more of a product development kind of a strategy. And finally, when you're trying to market new products to new markets, then that's going to be more of a diversification. So in a nutshell, or at a glance, you can see that he puts forward 4 categories of 4 different classes of strategies altogether in terms of marketing. The whole thing that we did so far in trying to analyze, look for marketing opportunities, analyze market opportunities, and deriving them from different sources like the environmental scanning or the strategic intent in terms of mission, vision, and business definition, all this will throw up opportunities, okay? But then coming to strategies, how do you take advantage of these opportunities? You have to have the right strategies in place. So the discussion really goes around from setting a goal or a mission or a vision to how do you implement those on the ground, okay? And that's where strategies become important. And I think more than anything else, the product market expansion grid, gives rise to a large number of marketing strategies which are relevant under different circumstances. Like this will require a detailed description, a detailed discussion. So what we will do is we'll come back on our subsequent episode and discuss about these strategies, like the market penetration strategy, the market development strategy, and the product development strategy, which are essentially marketing oriented strategies. And we will also touch upon the diversification strategy, which is more of a corporate strategy to be undertaken at the very top levels of the organization. But then for the time being, if you've understood what goal setting, what analyzing opportunities are, and what it takes to do so, then I think we have done a fairly good job of that. Okay, thank you.